What does holding this trophy mean to you?
It was a full team effort, and I shared this with my brothers and my partner in crime, Jayson Tatum. He was with me the whole way, so we shared it together.
It's a surreal feeling. We did it. We did it! Oh my God, we did it.
That is the moment that those
really
of us who
have my jersey in college.
What's that?
Really missed it. Really missed the
He
mark
wore
on
your
that
jersey
one.
in college?
No, I told him he couldn't wear my jersey in college, but now retrospectively, I really messed that one up.
Better in
I really messed that one up.
Okay, that's a cool thing to be able to say, though. That was an exciting flex by you.
Actually, a subtle flex, yes,
On
right?
this morning after the championship, you know, I didn't let Jayson Tatum wear my jersey in college.
It was a humble brag.
It was a miss.
It was retired. All right, well, so let's start with him. Look, Jayson Tatum, we can focus on the criticism. We can argue how significant that criticism was. I think that they were honest in the same. Has Luka Doncic been criticized? I mean, in these finals, or have we correctly?
Yes.
Have we correctly pointed out? He was a great player. Luka Doncic is a great player. Jayson Tatum has been a great player. He's been first-team All-NBA 3 consecutive years. He's been an All-Star 5 of the 7 years he's been in the league. There were little areas that a player that looked as good as he was, we felt we need to see more. There should be more. We pointed those things out. Last night, he forever silenced that conversation. That, to me, I think, is a more accurate depiction of the things that happened.
It felt like they underachieved several times in the postseason.
That's
because
it.
They did have good teams. He felt like he didn't achieve in the finals 2 years ago. Last year, getting beat by the Heat was a failure. And the expectation was for these guys to have gotten here at this already. But everything happens for a reason. That made the reasons that they didn't get there was the reason why this was so sweet. What they had to put together in terms of creating this tremendous team, which will serve them beautifully in this finals and going forward, were the fruit of the failures from before. And that is how it's supposed to work in the NBA.
Right.
You're supposed to have to work that way. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum are supposed to feel that relief today because of the failures that they felt. It was a perfect circumstance.
I just want to acknowledge the maturation also for Jayson Tatum in the world that we live in where everybody tries to pit Brown and Tatum against each other, right? Like Jaylen Brown does a lot of things incredibly well. What Jayson Tatum did last night defensively, guarding the 5 position multiple times, what he did getting people involved in the game, like his overall game, the level of maturity it takes to say, yeah, in critical moments, go do your thing, Jaylen Brown. Like, we live in an NBA world. When do you see it all the time? It's easy for guys to get lost in, it has to be my go, now it has to be your go. It's easy for that to happen. For him to have the awareness to say, go do your thing and be okay with that, I think speaks volumes about the character and why the Celtics are able to be successful considering his demeanor is that way.
We also live in an age where we have seen superstars demand that they want out, or demand that they want to trade, or demand that they're unhappy and they want change to happen. And for Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, for either of them to do none of that and to just stick with the process. Jaylen Brown averaged 7 points his first year in the league. His growth as a player, both of them, their growth as leaders, just the way that I know people say trust the process, but the way that they trusted each other and the way that they trusted this process is something that a lot of players and organizations need to take note of, because when you do it the right way, this is what it looks like. There was no question about those two or this team all season or in the championship.
Monica.
All right, so Hembo, shout out to our guy Hembo, gave me some ages to take note of. I know that these guys have played 107 games together, but they're still so young. And when you look at the arc of NBA players achieving success, MJ was 28, Shaq was 28, KD was 28, Jokic last year was 28, Steph was 27, LeBron 27, Giannis 26. This is the age of first titles. And so Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown have arrived, and we all have put so much pressure on their journey to get to this moment, but every step of the way has allowed them to be successful in this moment.
And I want to go back to something that's exactly right, and something you said a minute ago, Wendy, because I think it's so important that if there's one thing that the super team era, the just get a bunch of stars together like this is AAU and we're going to go out and win a championship immediately, that has enabled us to forget is that in the NBA, this is the way it's supposed to go. If anyone remembers the iconic image of Michael Jordan in that locker room in Los Angeles celebrating his first NBA championship with his parents on either side of him, and he's crying on that Larry O'Brien trophy. He was crying because he got swept by Boston. even though he scored 63 points. He was crying because the Pistons beat him in 6 and then beat him in 7. He was crying because it was so damn hard to get there. And you know what people were saying all those years he wasn't getting there? They were saying Michael's an unbelievable offensive player, but he'll never lead a team. He doesn't make his teammates around him better. That was the conversation around Michael Jordan once upon a time. It sounds ridiculous now, but it was. And so to whatever degree that fueled him, that was the reality. It is not that different from what we saw last night.
Every championship is special. The last Boston championship was the result of a super team build. That was built over one summer. There were guys, the individual, Garnett had gone through his own personal battles to get to that point. It was still very sweet for them, but that was, built that way. That was still considered a great team. When you can win a championship by growing it organically, it is the sweetest thing to do in sports.
I want to make sure everyone remembers because they drafted Tatum and Brown, but they did not draft them with picks that they originally owned. In a trade with the Brooklyn Nets, so Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, among others, those two guys won a championship for the Celtics and then netted them this. Because the Celtics used those picks
point something out.
to get these two guys.
The trade was in 2013.
Right.
The first, giant return was in 2016. Patience. It took 11 years to get to this point. They wanted to be faster. They tried to sign Kevin Durant in 2016. They traded for Kyrie Irving in 2017. They really did try to speed it along, but this still took 11 years.
Just let you know, Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball went over
the players ahead of Jayson Tatum. And the Sixers actually traded up with the Celtics, swapped from 3 to 1 to make that pick.
Just to put a nugget on Jayson Tatum, right? We talk about his age. He's 26, but he turned 26 in March. So he was 25 this season. The last player to be 25 in a season and be first-team All-NBA and win a championship was Kobe in 2002. So when we talk about Jayson Tatum's greatness, I'm not saying I'm not saying he's Kobe Bryant, but I'm saying there's nothing to be denied for him right now. You cannot deny it. For him to do what he's doing at his age is really special.
And to circle back to the Tatum and Brown. Go ahead, Monica.
So, why did you react like that?
I just get afraid because, a couple years ago, Stephen A. compared Devin Booker to Kobe Bryant, and whenever that happens, I just get a little bit triggered because I get worried about people trying because a lot of that. I wasn't
going there.
I know you weren't. It's my own thing. That's why it was my own thing.
He was triggered, Monty.
Okay. I was triggered. At least I'm being open about it because people automatically go to demeanor and they go to now you got to start winning championships. Now you have to start being overly aggressive because that's who Kobe was and that's not who Jayson is. So
no.
that was my own thing.
They're great in different ways. They have nowhere near the same demeanor, but the greatness as far as what they've done at their age, you can't speak to it.
Yeah, and they had a close relationship too back, before Kobe was tragically killed. But just to put a ribbon, if I can, I keep using the phrase dynamic duo this morning, and I use that on purpose. And unfortunately, the dynamic duo I think originated with Batman and Robin. So it's actually the opposite of what I mean. The reason that Tatum and Brown won a championship last night was they figured out, the two of them figured it out. They didn't, the media tried to make everything whatever we talked about. They figured out it can't be your team or my team. It has to be our team. That's how they did it last night. And that's why Brown immediately mentioned Tatum when he won the MVP award, and I'm positive Tatum would have done exactly the same thing. They are 1 and 1, not 1 and 2 on this team.
That's why I don't think either one of them deserved the MVP. I would have given the MVP to Brad Stevens. I think Brad Stevens has molded those two to believe that they could actually work together because I'm sure there wasn't trust throughout this whole process. As Jayson Tatum said, it's been highs and lows. And by the way, just to speak to Brad Stevens for a second, traded Kemba Walker for Al Horford. You think he was a critical piece? 2022, 2021, didn't trade Jaylen Brown. Traded Langford for Derek White. Traded Smart for KP and 2 first-round picks. Re-signed Brown. Got Drew Holiday. Literally, the moves he's made to have this team be in the position they are from the beginning to the end of their bench speaks volumes of our Brad Stevens.
Absolutely. They have been overwhelmingly the best team in the NBA the entire season.
Any age too.
No matter how much time talk there's been about anybody else.